So doesn't matter if you're an atheist, doesn't matter what religion you are. In the afterlife, you are a spiritual being. You have an agenda. You want to become fully enlightened while you're in human incarnation, but you understand that you kind of become an idiot when you get born here. You lose your edge. You're not necessarily going to get it. You're not necessarily going to stay aligned. You're not necessarily going to be that person who is a blessing to others. You might turn into a real jerk. And you are so ignorant if you're in that state that you don't even realize that this whole world is a holographic matrix that feeds back to you your own ignorance. If you treat somebody badly, you're going to suffer the same thing. And the cabal folks, they don't want us to understand karma, so you don't ever get movies where karma shows up. You don't ever get a discussion about it. And then even the scientists worship their own ignorance, right? If you're intelligent, you should be able to understand karma. It shouldn't be that hard, because karma is even tailor-made to try to make it as easy to understand as possible. I've had so many cases of literally instant karma that I do fear karma. I'm afraid of it. I don't want to create this crap. I don't want to get myself knocked around. I don't want to have things happen. I'm afraid that if I took it too far, I'd have a big, nasty car crash. I'd break a leg. I'd end up in the emergency room. I'd have the need for emergency surgery. I'm clinging on to life by a thread. This stuff doesn't happen randomly. You're not wondering, oh my God, anything could hit me at any time. You want an insurance policy? You want life insurance? How about be nice? Well, anything could happen at any time. Well, yeah, then we'll take your money, sure. All you have to do is try your best and try to not make that leap into anger and judgment, but to actually stay humble, pure, honest, caring, forgiving, patient. Patience is a big one. The whole world is designed to make us very impatient, right? Holy crap. Now we want overnight shipping. Patience is a hard one. Another really, really difficult one that I had to go through the absolute bowels of hell to understand is true fearlessness. True fearlessness is one of the most difficult spiritual meditations of all. Yes. And people always say to me, I hear this all the time, okay, number one, and I'm going to speak about myself in third person, which is the definition of ego and arrogance, but I'm going to do it this once, okay? If you meet David Wilcock in public, it's probably not a good idea to walk up to David and say, how the hell are you still alive? It's probably not the nicest thing to say. Well, let's see. How am I still alive? It's not something you just want to casually bring up. I'm so amazed that you're not dead, dude. How come they haven't killed you yet? There are spiritual laws, and they can't just knock you off. This is one of the really cool things I learned from the Illuminati high-level insider who worked for the Rothschilds. His name is Jacob, and he spilled the beans. He gave me the talisman that we need for this hero's journey. And that is, they cannot do this unless your karma authorizes it. They can't just knock you off. You have to have earned it. Oh, David, right away I think of John F. Kennedy. I think of Martin Luther King. I think of John Lennon. Okay, hold on a minute. John F. Kennedy was a notorious serial womanizer. I hate to say this, but Martin Luther King, same thing. And John Lennon was a total asshole to all of his fans in New York City for the last 10 years of his life. If you walked up to him and you wanted to meet him, fuck you, mate. I said I was only going to say fuck once. Now I've just done it 3 times. Okay, well, my score, I'm now below par. Keep swinging. I'll perfect this sooner or later. So look, these are exceptions, yes, but if you look at their lives, they had heroic qualities, but they also had flaws that apparently were large enough. Womanizing is a big one, okay? If you start doing that kind of stuff, if you start getting together with people sexually and you kind of shine them on and act like it's all cool and everything's fine, but you really just intend to conquest and go on and go on and go on. I have never, ever done that. Why? Because I'd be freaking dead. I am not kidding. I am not kidding. You can't imagine what it's like after 20 years of this, being at conferences and having women come up to you and go, well, David, you've shared so much with the world. The least I could do is to share my body with you. You know how many times I heard that? You know how many times people walk up to me and say, oh, we had a past life together. Let's pick up where we left off. Every conference, somebody 5 behind you is going to say the same thing. I get this all the time. It's not new. People hug me. They start doing the erotic breaths in my ear. I've had that one too. Orgasmic breathing doesn't work. Just FYI, it's a little bit too bold. It's not cool. It makes the conversation very edgy. Just relax. I'd gladly share my body with you. Like, well, I don't want to get killed. Okay? I'm not going to do the kind of thing that so many male spiritual leaders get stuck in. And I hate to say it, but there's a lot of stories about people that really ought to know better that get to that level of fame, and it is irresistible. They cannot avoid it. It is admittedly difficult for a man with all the hormones and the testosterone that we have, but you have to rise above that shit. And that's why, as I've said before, if you don't have a happy relationship, try to resolve the relationship you're in instead of just running around on that person. Right? Because cheating is just really, really nasty karma. And also, there may be a time where you are in a relationship with problems that are not solvable. Okay? And that's okay too. One of the things it talks about in the Law of One, which is really shocking, is this idea that ultimately your loyalty is to the core of the light within yourself. And if you are surrounded by people who are consistently going to knock you down and demean you and treat you poorly, and you've done everything you possibly can do to try to appease that person, to try to say you're sorry, to try to be forgiven, and yet somehow all you ever do is find out that you're in trouble and there's a big, big drama and there's a big catastrophe. Look, I've been in these relationships. Unfortunately, for many years of my life, wasted and lost in very, very contentious relationships where it is a war and it never stops. And somehow, if you're with this kind of a person, which would be considered the narcissist or the psychopath, okay, we all have entangled with these people, you're always in trouble, you're always on the defensive, you're always having to apologize, you're always saying you're sorry for something. You never really get on the good side. The chances are that if you're in a situation like that, guess what? No matter of apologizing is ever going to get you out of trouble. But these situations are ascension crucibles because what's going to happen is you're learning how to try to adhere to this person's outrageous, strict guidelines. You're constantly jumping to try to get out of trouble. And so I now look back on these relationships, and I've seen many people who are clearly on a rapid timeline ascension path where they're in a very, very contentious relationship. And there is no frickin' way that the other person is ascending. They got a long way to go. One of the things that the beings told Corey, which I'm going to out him right now on this, okay? I don't know why he wasn't comfortable saying this, but the beings actually did tell him this, and he told me. Nobody's ever heard this before. Direct quote from the Anshar, Inner Earth beings, to Corey. They said, no one who has a narcissistic personality is going to ascend. You have to become a humble person. You have to learn that even if somebody is hurting your feelings and you're not happy about that, it is not a good idea to aggressively pursue that person, to try to change them, change them, change them, change them. You hurt me. I'm so upset. I can't believe you did that. What an outrage. And the whole frickin' internet right now is built as a hate machine. Right? It's crazy. So the pastor who married us is black, right? Beth just had somebody write in because she had used a picture. I hope it's okay that I'm telling this story. So she used a picture of a white girl with dreadlocks. And somebody wrote her and said, well, that's very racist because that's white people appropriating black culture. Come on. So we our black pastor telling us that's totally ridiculous. Well, I think he knows. So everybody wants to get outraged about everything. Like I was reading on Huffington Post recently, you can't say the word Eskimo. That's racist. You have to say Alaskan Native or Inuit. Oh, shit. People want to be pissed off. They want to lay traps for you. It doesn't even matter what you say. You're going to get in trouble. You can't not get in trouble. If you have a picture of a human being, you're fat shaming or you're thin shaming or they're the wrong race or they're the wrong so it's crazy. So, Beth is fairly new to this whole business of being a public figure, and I'm trying to explain it's going to happen every day. People are going to throw shade every day. That's part of being a public figure, and we're all going through this. It's just that if you have more attention focused on you like we do, you're on the accelerated course. You get a lot more of it a lot faster to meditate on. And isn't it interesting to note that the Nazis loved Schadenfreude? That was their #1 type of humor, was belittling other people and making fun of them for a perceived weakness. And now that's what everybody's doing on the internet. You look at any video of me on the internet and almost every comment you see is totally profane, outrageously wild attack against me. It's just like, wow. So you have to understand, I deliberately protect myself against this toxicity because I don't want every day, every hour, with no weekends, no holidays, no breaks, no time off, I don't want my entire life consumed by people telling me that I'm a piece of shit. Because you guys clearly don't think that or you wouldn't be here, right?